Hello, BookTube. This is Good Morning. I decided I would make a video early in the morning. I was going to make a video last night, but I kept waiting for my wife to call me. She's out in the Northwest as our son Josiah and his wife had a baby, and so I kept waiting for her to call, and I didn't want to make a video. And as I was making a video, hearing the telephone ring, and she didn't call until almost 10 o'clock here in West Michigan time. There it was like 7 o'clock. And so yeah, I didn't want to make a video because on Fridays I volunteer at the local library used bookstore, and I thought I might get books from the book Nook, and I wanted to show those in a video. And I still had a stack of books from thrift stores that I got throughout this week. So I want to get these used books down into the lower level library, get them out of the living room. So yeah, so it's a new day. It's 7:03 in the morning here in West Michigan. It is October the 21st. It's a Saturday. I have nothing to do today. I might watch some college football, but I don't know. Lately, I've just been kind of out of it, just kind of spaced. I've been rereading the last couple of days Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. I read that last couple of days. And reading St. John of the Cross. I'm trying to finish the Ascent of Mount Carmel. I would read that this morning. So that's what I've been reading the last couple of days. Like I said, I spend a lot of time just staring off into space, or writing in my diary, or watching the birds, or writing in my diary. I can't even listen to music or watch TV. It's just, I'm sure if my wife was to pass away, I would just go into a state of complete silence. Well, if I made videos, making videos for BookTube is not easy, because you're always thinking, oh, I gotta have charisma. I gotta have some gimmick. I don't have a British accent. I don't tell jokes. I'm not super smart. I have poor pronunciation. I'm 65 years old. I'm not one of these beautiful young booktubers, young guys, young women. I'm not cute. I'm just an old geezer. And my days of youth have faded away. And now I'm 65 years old, going bald and losing my physical strength. But I like talking about books. I like talking about keeping a diary. Today I'm on page 950. So let's get into the books. Yesterday, I'll show the books I got yesterday, because yesterday I went to the book Nook and I bought for $4 and what else? I bought it for $4. I'm sure the book's got the book note. I bought this biography of Paul Cezanne, the French painter. Cezanne, Paul Cezanne, A Life by Alex Danchev. I bought it for $4. I like reading about Parisian painters, and it's only $4. The book goes for $40, and it's only 2012. It's a really nice book. So I got that for $4, and then I bought for $1.50 John Berger, A Way of Seeing. This was a series that him and some people did on BBC. It's a bunch of essays. It's on art, and then I picked up for my free book, The Sea Is My Brother, the lost novel of Jack Kerouac. So then that's what I got at the Book Nook, and I got out of the Book Nook about 1 o'clock yesterday. I came home, and then I realized I had to go get some bird seed. Our birds are just eating sunflower seeds like crazy. So I decided I would go to Zealand, which is north of us. It's only about 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes from where we live. It's like they sell bird seed and, lawn care, and it's like a hardware store. That's not really a hardware store. It's hard to explain, but they sell bird seed. And so I went to Zealand, and on the way home I stopped at a Goodwill thrift store, and I found this is these are stories by Paul Goodman. He wrote a famous book called I have it in my library, our library, Growing Up Absurd, Problems of Youth in the Organized System. I didn't know he wrote a ton of stuff. This is published by Black Sparrow Press. Anything by Black Sparrow Press is really worth buying. They published almost all of Bukowski's writings. Charles Bukowski. So these are like Paul Goodman and Ceremonial Stories from 1936 to 1940, Volume 2 of the collected stories, edited by Taylor Stoehr. They're very experimental, kind of avant-garde, but I got that. And then I found that I like travel memoirs. This is Getting Stoned with Savages, a trip through the islands of Fiji and Vanuatu by Maarten Troost. And this is a book by Walter Kaufmann. I have his biography on Nietzsche, which is called, what's it called? Yeah, he wrote a very famous biography. Nietzsche, philosopher, psychologist, and Antichrist. He also wrote a book on existentialism. This is his book, The Faith of a Heretic. This is where he goes into his own personal philosophy and how he came to his own position about philosophy. And then I found The Mrs. Nixon, a Novelist Imagines a Life by Anne Beattie. She's a short story writer and a novelist, and I'd never seen this book by her. I like her short stories and her writings. She writes for the New Yorker. It's like her own, just imagining what it would be like to be the Mrs. Nixon, who was the wife of Richard Nixon, the president. So I got that. And then I found at another thrift store this week, The Singular Man by J.P. Donnelly, he's very famous for his novel, The Ginger Man. I got this at a Goodwill, a couple of days ago when I had to go out and pick up a prescription. It's a local Goodwill. So I found that. And I found at some thrift stores, Norman Mailer, The Naked and the Dead. I have an old hardback of this. This is his first novel, Norman Mailer, where he became really famous. I have a hardback. This is a paperback edition. This is Antonia Fraser. This is The Wild Island. I didn't know she did a detective series, the Jama Shore novel series. And this is Blind Date by Jerzy Kowski. I already have this. I didn't know that, but I have it in my library already. It's a novel by him. And this is Hitler's Niece, a novel by Ron Hassan. I have two other novels by him. I have Marionette in Ecstasy and Desperados by him. And I found this official Boy Scout handbook. I kind of like it because of the old 50s kind of look to it. Never was in the Boy Scouts. I remember as a boy I was in the Cub Scouts. But, it was only like 60 cents. And then I found this book, The Origins of the Urban Crisis, Race and Equality in the Post-War Detroit by Thomas J. Sergrew. This was a winner of the Bancroft 1998 Bancroft Prize. I collect these books. They're in the category of history. It's amazing how many people in library thing had this, even though it's kind of dated, but hey, so it was 60 cents. And this is a novel by Robert Coover, Pinocchio and Venice. He's like a really postmodernist writer. And then I found this book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined by Steven Pinker. I don't know, it's a big book. I found it at a thrift store. It was like, 60 cents. I saw, I like all it just looked interesting. I don't know. Has violence declined? I don't know. So these are the thrift store finds I found throughout the week. Now that I've showed them to you guys, I can put them down on the lower level and try to find a room for them. So yeah, today is Saturday. I don't expect to go anywhere or do anything. Like I said, I'm going to try to finish reading The Ascent to Mount Carmel and reread. Like I haven't read this since it first came out back in the early 70s. Yeah, I was really young when I read this. I must have been 22, 23 years old. I could tell you a story about it, but it's kind of X-rated. And I don't know if I should tell you stories about my youth, because I lived a very wild life when I was young. I did a lot of crazy things, and I had a lot of women in my life. And so when I look at this book, Thomas Pynchon, when I bought this book, I was in a relationship with this woman, a divorced woman who had a child, and that was a long time ago. I was almost 43 years ago. It's amazing that you don't forget things. Well, I have forgotten things, but every time I see this book, I remember when I bought it, because I had this relationship with this divorced woman with one child. It didn't last long. It was kind of a crazy relationship. But that was when I was really young. So I'm kind of out of it, like I keep saying that. My wife being gone, living alone here, nobody to interact with. But I wanted to show you these used books, tell you what I've been reading, tell you what's going on in my life. And so tomorrow's a new week. My wife gets back next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. Life keeps going by. So I hope you have a good weekend, a good new week. We're coming to the end of the month. So yeah, so I'll sign off until next time. Bye.